Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Sherman. Delighted to welcome you to what has become a pre-holiday tradition in our Downtown Music series. It's a visit with what a conductor at the Met Opera called the gorgeous sound, rich sonorities, and transparent harmonies of the Angelica Choir. Marie Caruso, marking her 15th anniversary as Angelica's artistic director, will be bringing us holiday music written as long ago as the 13th century and as recently as, well, more or less now, with the premiere of All Hail, the Bells of Christmas Ring, and that's by the Westchester-based conductor, composer, and, in his spare time, sound engineer, Erik-Peter Mortenson. There is something about the purity of women's voices that lends a kind of ethereal beauty to these varied songs of faith. And were that not inducement enough, Downtown Music Director Timothy Lewis will greet Marie Caruso and Erik-Peter Mortenson thereafter in person. Should be an inspiring hour indeed.
Hello, I am Marie Caruso, the Artistic Director of Angelica. We would like to thank Downtown Music for sponsoring today's virtual performance during this very unusual year. As a group, Angelica has continued to make music with the help of Erik-Peter Mortenson, our audio and video producer. He has been our partner in creating today's virtual performance by helping us join our voices, faces, and spirits together. We hope you enjoy the results.
Our first piece, Dadme Albricias, Hijos, is from the Cancionero de Uppsala, a 16th century volume of mostly anonymous Spanish music. This bright song of glad tidings is a villancico, a Spanish poetic and musical form popular in the 15th to 18th centuries.
Our next piece, Ave Regina Caelorum, Hail Queen of Mary, is a 15th century three-part Marian antiphon typically sung at the end of evening prayers during Lent. It was composed by Renaissance composer extraordinaire Guillaume Dufay.
Ave Regina Caelorum, Ave Domino Angelorum, Salve radix sancta, ex qua mundo lux est orta, Gaudens gloriosa, super omnes speciosa, valde decora, et pro nobis semper Christum exora.
The next piece on our program is called Songbird by Canadian composer Sarah Quartel, who wrote the lyrics as well as the catchy melody. The text describes songbirds that spin tunes of gold.
I am a songbird, I will sing anything. Give me a tune, I will spin you gold. Those say you come to the songbird, weaving stronger the thread of the music's fold. Feel in the breeze a breath, a soaring song to you, and hear me say, I am a songbird, I will sing anything. Follow the breeze and come my way, come my way. One little bird on a branch sits fanning amber wings to the passers-by. Two little birds in flight are threading webs of gold in an endless sky. Three little birds with brushes painting moonlit skies in the height of day. Four little birds with voices gleaming breathe to the wind singing, come my way. Sing little birds so sweetly, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, till my feet completely, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Five little birds with feathers fluffing stretch and spread in the midday sun. Six little birds are cooing, humming, drawing the eyes of everyone. Seven little birds in fountains splashing, droplets so they fawn and play. Eight little birds raise voices higher, breathe to the wind singing, come my way. Sing little birds so sweetly, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, till my fears completely, fly little songbirds to the horizon, land meets sky and sky meets sea. Dance little little songbirds, flick your feathers, smooth the current, carry me. Sing, little songbirds, call to your lovers, draw them in complete there. You little songbirds, you can sing anything. I follow the wind and I come your way, come your way, come your way.
Our next song, Táncnóta, or dancing song, composed by Zoltán Kodály, is based on a Hungarian folk song. Its insistent pounding rhythm often makes listeners want to dance along. Today we sing it in an English translation by Elizabeth M. Lockwood.
People say the magas snap, no more are right-footed.
That's because their shoes clothes are for dancing suited. What they need are changelings, birds, boots and scrubs, legs and brushes and brushes and perhaps we take with feathers. What they need are changelings, boots and scrubs and legs, brushes and brushes and perhaps we take with feathers. As we fix our magyar.
People say the magas snap, no more are right-footed.
People say the magas now sing out wonders. People say the magas are wise, like magas are but what they need are chances, boots and scrubs, brushes and brushes and castles and secrets and chances, boots what they need are chances, brushes and brushes and knowledge shakes us all, leather bar, it is all called the sword and jacket pins, and leather are my boots, pins and leather are my boots, are my boots, songs are ragged, pins and leather are my boots, pins and leather are my boots, bashed in flowers, those are magic. Once I caught once I got, if I saw the straw, it's and without a tablet, does the count of magic men, would taste or see the legs, and get the stars, if we have our country, you shall have against the would taste or see, you'll be pigs on dance, oh, I mean, I have our country, you'll be welcome, you'll be pigs on dance, you shall have my dance, you'll be pigs on dance, oh, dancing king, go on, dancing king, go on, dancing, no one dancing till we never stop,
Hello. This next piece is inspired by the New York Ensemble for Early Music. They combined two complementary 13th century songs honoring St. Nicholas. The first song is called Exultemus et letemur, which translates to Let us be glad and rejoice. And the second piece is from Germany. It's called Gaudens in Domino, or Praising the Lord. So in the arrangement, they alternated verses between the two songs to highlight their rhythmic contrasts. And we also used musical notation from the women's vocal ensemble Anonymous 4. Enjoy.
Exultemus et letemur, Nicolaum veneremur, Deus laudes ecantemus et salvamus, decantando perdigemus et simantamus. Gaudens in Domino, ego solemnium, letetur omnium, turba fidelium, vivis et organis, ad laudem presulis, cuius miracula, ganit ecclesia. Quid adest homo omnem, preso laudes gratia, servivi Domino, devoto animo, et tu progredere, elector incipe, in primo carmine, te chiude Domine, Pater suus, sit clamor, Nicolae noster amor, ecet noster quisi retors vivens, jubelone dicat letores sigotantes.
Our next piece, All Hail the Bells of Christmas Rang, is a premiere by composer-musician Erik-Peter Mortenson. The text is adapted from The Mystic's Christmas, a poem by the 19th century Quaker poet John Greenleaf Whittier. Erik-Peter has been working with Angelica as an audio and video editor since the pandemic began, and was instrumental in putting this concert together, for which we Angelicans are very grateful.
All hail the bells of Christmas rang, all hail the monks that Christmas sang, the mighty monks who kept with cheer the gladdest day of all their year. Ring-a-ling-ding, a-ling-a-ling, ding-dong, ring-ding-a-ling, hear the church bells ring. Above our heads the joy bells ring, without the happy children sing, and all God's creatures hail the morn on which the Holy Christ was born. Ring-a-ling-ding-a-ling, 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 ding-a-ling-ding-a-ling, I listen from no mortal tongue to hear the songs the angels sung, and wait within myself to know the Christmas lilies bud and blow. Ring-a-ding-dong, ding-a-ling, ring-a-ding-dong, ring-a-ding-a-ling, ding-dong, ding-ding-dong, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-dong, ding-dong, ring-ding-ring-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-ding-a-ling, ding-dong, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-dong. Oh, hear the church bells ring. The outward symbols disappear from him whose inward sight is clear, and small must be the choice of days to him who fills them all with praise. Ring-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ring-a-ding-dong, ring-a-ding-ding-a-ling, ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ling, ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, ding-ding-dong, hear the church bells ring, ding-dong.
We end our program with Muusika by Estonian composer Pärt Uusberg. It is based on a poem by Juhan Liiv, one of Estonia's greatest 19th century poets, and the piece speaks to the mystery and the beauty of music. Enjoy.
Kuskil peal kus kogu kõla olevat, kuskil suures looduses
We would like to thank Downtown Music for sponsoring today's virtual performance. We hope that you have enjoyed it and that you will join us for the live Zoom discussion. The link is on the Downtown Music website. Most of the performing artists will be present, including our editor, Erik-Peter Mortenson, and the director of Downtown Music, Tim Lewis. We hope to see you there.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I am so happy that you could all join us for this particular and special Zoom meeting following this wonderful concert by Angelica. And I will tell you that normally following a concert at Downtown Music, we are so happy to introduce our audience to the performers and have everyone interact in person and answer any questions. And today it's not possible to do it the way we normally would do it, but we did think it was important to have a chat after such beautiful music. So if you will forgive me, I will lay out a few ground rules as we go ahead here, and then we can have some discussion amongst the performers and then field any questions that you may want to ask as well. First and foremost, though, I will tell you that for archival purposes, this is being recorded. So you do need to be aware of that. If you're asking a question, you can do it without your video or with your video, but do know that when you speak and going ahead, that will be recorded. And also, it's worth letting you know that we're asking all of you, including the panelists, to remain muted until it is time to speak or until you want to put a question, and that way we're all able to hear one another. And I'm told that for the guests who are joining us today, there are two ways to ask a question. You can either click on the little bubble that says chat and type your question for Marie or any one of the panelists, or you can also enter the participants window, and I believe there you're going to find something that will make it possible for you to indicate that you've raised your hand. And also, quite honestly, if you're on video, you may just raise your hand as well. If you get totally frustrated, you can probably jump up and down, but how effective that will be, I don't know. So the chat is probably the best way to do that. And I will tell you that Ryan Caruso, who is joining us today and is making this Zoom possible, is two things. He's a wonderful audio and tech person for us today. He's also Marie's nephew. And not only that, he's a wonderful classical guitarist. So he's got a man of many skills, and we thank him for helping us today. But the two people also to introduce to you are Marie Caruso, who I think you all know as the director of Angelica. Delighted that you are able to be with us and complete this program for us. And also Erik-Peter Mortenson, who is the composer of today's wonderful carol, All Hail the Bells of Christmas Rang, and who has also done an extraordinary job with the editing the audio and video components of today's program. But Eric is first and foremost a wonderful composer. He's also a singer and a consummate musician. So it's great that we were all able to do this together today. Marie, if I could just start with a general question to you, please, and also by way of thanks. I mean, not only did you create an Angelica program for us again this year, after, it was interesting. I mean, at the beginning of the intro, it was saying that you were with Angelica for 15 years now, and I think it's got to be about 15 years that you've been bringing Angelica to Downtown Music as well. So I'm so grateful for that, and it seems so important that we be able to do that again this year, especially. And so not only did you do that, but you commissioned a piece from Erik-Peter, which you also premiered. So tell me a little bit about what that's been like for you.
Well, actually, I was very glad that you suggested this format because we were missing performing very much and we were missing getting together. So having something to work towards was uplifting, and it was a goal for us. even though we weren't putting our voices together in the traditional way, we still felt we were creating something and it was something special. So for that, we were really grateful that you suggested it and sponsored it. I remember our beginning conversations, you weren't quite sure how you were going to proceed with it. And then it kind of all came together and we were all novices at this, and it was really very uplifting. And then of course, Erik-Peter got involved, and I discussed it with him from the get-go because I think he was also involved at the very beginning of the pandemic in helping us try to create music. And his audios were really very beautiful, so we went with it. Want to add something to that, EP?
Thank you very much, Marie. Yes, I've been recording you live for a number of years too. I think early 2000s even. And, you know, it was knowing how great you sound live, it was, I wanted to step up to the challenge of recreating that virtually for you as well. And I'm glad to see that it's come together. And this is the first time I've seen all the videos in a straight row. And it was like a real concert. I was really enjoying it.
Actually, it was my idea to have individual members give the introductions. Did that work out well? I mean, I thought it was kind of nice to see faces.
Yeah, I thought it was
great. If there were
great.
more pieces, I would have other members still introduce the other pieces. But
No,
I thought it added a personal touch to it. So.
Yeah, from the audience point of view, it worked absolutely well. And it also meant that we didn't necessarily need to be looking at a program. We could just focus on these videos that you've created and the production overall. So I thought it was masterful. Really, really enjoyed that.
And I also wanted to include Rex, our percussionist, because he's been involved with so many of our concerts. And so I really did choose pieces that he was included on too. And then it turned out that EP's piece, All Hail, could also use bells, so it was wonderful. So we were very pleased that you were able to join us in that.
Rex, it may be a good lead-in, because I was going to ask you, the percussion parts add so much to the performances, and at the same time I have the sense that you're either creating these or improvising these as you go along. So could you maybe say a couple of words about how this all comes together?
Yes, it's a little of both. I certainly don't write out every note, especially when it comes time for the hand drumming or the tabor drumming. I'm just going by what it is I'm hearing, and I'm creating a part on the spot. The bell parts, or the crotales and the glockenspiel parts, are definitely arranged, and I have written out my own part. And I derive the parts from looking at what's happening in the voices and how those parts are interweaving in the composition. And then I usually pick a line that is a through line that emphasizes maybe the sopranos first section, then maybe into the altos, and maybe into the second altos and stuff like that, so that I can have a through line that is not necessarily duplicating just one part straight through. So I write them out, and then I play them enough times so that I get a good video as well as a good audio recording. It takes me a few tries to get both together.
But having heard you do this both live and now in the recording, there's something wonderful about the sort of motion that you add and how this is all makes it come together, and yet it's the accompaniments are so sensitive too. And I think sometimes people think of percussion as timpani and very heavy stuff. This isn't that at all. This is very delicate. This is very complimentary.
Thank you. I try to serve the music, and the last thing I want to do is sound like a junkyard, so you have to pick your sounds and place them hopefully judiciously, so that it's helpful. That's the point. It should be helpful.
Yeah. Well, Marie, if I could just come back to you for 1 minute, and then maybe some of the members of the choir would like to speak to this as well. But I know for anyone involved in choral music, this has been an especially difficult time to be trying to perform and trying to rehearse. And how did you actually bring all of this together?
Well, we would meet on Monday nights, and so the group would meet, but we really could not rehearse because, as you know, most people know, there's too much latency issues with singing on Zoom, so you can't really rehearse. But you could go over music, you could discuss the dynamics, or you could talk about different issues, different parts. And I actually chose, it's a long story because first we were in the midst of preparing a spring program. And that's how Erik-Peter really came on board, because don't forget the pandemic started in March and we were already rehearsing. So half of it we had already had the core decisions made about our piece, how we were going to edit it or perform it or use diction or whatever we were doing. So then it was just a matter of really practicing it and putting it together. And Erik-Peter is the one who helped us put it together. What we did was every person recorded their own part and submitted it. And then he would then, after I did a first edit, he would then edit it and make it beautiful, really beautiful. So I think that when it came to the Christmas seasonal concert, I tried to choose some pieces that we had already done in the past. And that worked out for us because then we didn't have to go through a whole lot of decisions to make. Except, of course, for All Hail, which was a new piece. And Erik-Peter was great because he had a session with us where he really described how he wanted the music to be sung. And that was really helpful. Maybe we want to open the questions up to the audience. What do you think? Tim?
I think that's fine. I'm also wondering if, sure. I think we've covered all of that. So maybe why don't we open this up to the audience and people ask questions as they come along. I do want to remind you that you will need to unmute yourself if you want to ask this in person. And also, just as a matter of procedure, this is being recorded for our archives, just so that you are aware of that, but we hope that will just free you to ask any question you care to.
Okay, I see that Susan Saslow has a question. Do you want to ask that in person? It's in the chat.
Why don't you just read it on?
Sure.
If Susan wants to ask it, that's fine too. However you want to do this. You take it away, Ryan.
All right. Susan says has a question for Erik-Peter. He says, first of all, great piece, and she was wondering if you could talk about those amazing key changes towards the end of the piece. Oh, this is from Ron, actually.
Okay, sure. I conceived the piece. Marie first approached me about it. I actually approached her, having heard how wonderful all her women's, the Angelican pieces were. I was like, let me jump into there and compose something for you guys too. And Marie kind of agreed to that. And we thought, well, when I was doing a Christmas piece, I write in so many different styles, traditional, Renaissance, modern, contemporary, stuff like that. But we really wanted to choose something that would actually fit the niche of Angelica. And actually, having heard the whole concert today, it kind of did. And what I was hoping for was, I didn't know what text I was going to use, but I knew I was going to be in 6/8, and I knew there was going to be a lot of bells. Ding dong, ding dong in 6/8. And so I went through the public domain online, and I found this long poem by, there's a long Christmas poem by Whittier. And out of 24 verses, I just chose the 4 that had some relationship to bells. So the text is from Whittier, but the ding dong refrains is from me. And my conception was keep the verses simple, but every time there's a ding dong, make it more and more exuberant, more and more thrilling until it culminates. So by the time we get to the third chorus, we have the key changes. This sounds a little bit like Julie Andrews singing Toot Sweet or Shitty Shitty Bang Bang or something. But it all comes back together to end with the bells. And hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, I see Lynn Mazza has had her hand raised for a while. Feel free to chime in.
Hi. Hi, everyone. First, I'd like to congratulate Marie, Ryan, EP, Rex, and all of Angelica for a wonderful, wonderful concert. I know how difficult it is to put something like this together. So much congratulations. Well done. My question was actually for you, EP, which you partially answered already about how you came to write the piece. I'm just curious, did you just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to write a piece for Angelica? Or did Marie commission you? Or how did it come about?
Well, it's very interesting. It's kind of a little bit of both. Marie has very, very high taste. And I tried several of my compositions.
I know that.
I tried several of my other compositions, and she said, that's a little bit not what I'm looking for. So it finally got to the right thing where we're doing something, a simple 3-part arrangement that I knew that Angelica would enjoy and could execute well. So it was kind of a mutual thing. I just kept writing until she came up with a piece that she liked. And this is the one that we kind of settled on, and it came out really nice. And I'm so grateful for Angelica and for Marie for preparing it, and for Rex. By the way, the percussion parts, the bells, were written by Rex, and with gracious permission, he will allow me to include his arrangement if I ever publish the music live or publish it online. So thanks to Rex, it came out really great. I love the Quartels and the Glockenspiel. It was really great. Thank you, Rex. I think you're still muted. You're muted again. You're muted again. You should unmute.
Rex is muted? No. I'm unmuted. Rex is now unmuted. Thank you very much, Erik-Peter.
Okay, we have a question from Claudia, and a couple of people have actually asked this question about describing the process and the challenges of doing rehearsals on Zoom or remotely otherwise.
Maybe an Angelica member wants to answer that.
I'd love to respond for my part. I'm sure it's different. Hi, I'm Kathleen. I'm a soprano in Angelica. I'm sure it's different for each of the members. We have some experiences that are similar. I feel like for the whole fall, all I was saying to my friends was, I have to make a recording for Angelica. Because we were doing this concert, and we were also putting together a CD, Angelica in quarantine, right? So we're constantly making these recordings. Of course, we got better and better at it, but my challenge, as Marie knows, was getting a quiet time to do it and trying to get through an entire take. So it ended up being a case where I would send, 6 files. Here's verses 1 and 2. And here's, so poor Marie had to cobble it all together. But I live in Harlem. It's noisy. A truck will go by, my cat will meow, my roommate will come home. Even if you're standing on a wooden floor and you move and the floor creaks, so all of those things can be picked up when EP is putting it all together, because he's using such a sophisticated sound engineering protocol. So every little thing, during the day, I have lots of birds here. I have a huge courtyard in the back. I have a street in the front. So you can either have traffic if I'm in the living room, or you can have birds if I'm in my bedroom. And then at 8 o'clock, it switches from birds to crickets. So I had a really great challenge with it. But it was, it's the best that we could do. And I would always just try to have Angelica, my friends, in my head while I was trying to make the tape.
Yeah, we probably should explain that in order to make a tape, in order to make an audio recording, one thing you really needed was silence, because otherwise those sounds would just be, so if all of a sudden the dog started barking or something started happening, it just wouldn't work. You'd have to start all over again. So it was challenging to find silence. And then also when you were making a video, you needed to have a very plain background, which was also very challenging. And maybe someone else in the group wants to speak of that, because I know we probably could write a book about it.
Yes, we could all write a book about it. And I want to say I have birds and crickets, and I have 3 kids, and they are very, very loud too. And I had to, so we did 2 things separately. We recorded the audio track before we recorded the video. And we would, for the video, listen to ourselves singing on the audio track and then lip sync. So for the video, it wasn't so challenging to have silence, but the challenge there was pictures needed to come down. Like if you audience members, if you look around your apartments and houses, it is surprisingly hard to find a really plain background. So really,
you have to wash your hair.
You also will have to wash your hair. You have to put a stack of books on the table in order to
get the laptop up.
To have it at eye level. There are all these practical challenges, but for the choir members with children, it was particularly challenging to record the audio track. I had figured out that I need to send my kids out of the house, which was challenging because they're doing school remotely, so they're here all the time. So on the weekends, I would record, send them into the yard. We live in Hastings, so luckily we have a yard. We sent them outside, and then I would still hear them because they were screaming and jumping on the trampoline. And it was not easy, but it was so worth it. And I have to say that for me, giving a personal response, this concert was just now, half an hour ago, was when it all came together, and it made me really emotional. Recording with all these practical challenges, with the kids screaming and the pictures down and the scrap, between dinner and putting the kids to bed, you don't get that feeling of the music touching you, but having the audience members there and to reading all your messages on the YouTube chat, that was very special and meaningful. And I'm a little surprised how well this is working out, actually.
And can I also add to that, Julia, that I have noticed that you as a group individually technically have gotten better at your videos, have gotten better at your recordings. The first ones I spent much more time on than the later ones, because you were already, I know my spot, I know my camera angle, I know my lighting, I know how to record this now. And so you actually all got better technically the more I worked on it. Just bravo to everybody.
And also there's an interesting thing about learning. I think I got better at focusing my voice, because one of the things is when you're singing to a click track, you can't really, you think you're singing what you're singing, but it's actually very hard to hear yourself, and it's hard to actually, for me, to actually produce a full sound because you're listening at the same time. So making adjustments for that was something I had to learn. And yeah, this is worth it.
I also want to add one other thing quickly, and that's, it's very moving to see our audience and to see people from Germany and from Italy and from different places. It's just very moving to see that it's possible in this Zoom session to bring so many people together. That wouldn't be possible in a regular concert. So what were you going to say, Kim?
Oh, I just wanted to add, similarly to what Virginia was saying, is that for me, the technical aspect of this was not the challenge. It was the fact that I was not with other people, where I usually rely on hearing us. We all breathe together and we're listening and we're making eye contact with each other, and singing your one part and not hearing the other 12 or 13 around you is very isolating, and you don't feel like you're in the performance mode. And that to me was the biggest challenge, I think. But on the flip side, it really forces you to know your part very well because it's just you. So once you sort of get over that hurdle of knowing your music, it's great, but feeling like you're performing is challenging.
I also found it challenging to perform, to sing to a click track. Although it helps you stay on the beat and it takes out any question of what am I going to do here, it's definitely not as satisfying, obviously, because there's no retards, there's no, you know, we all want to be looking at Marie and seeing what inspiration she gets at a particular moment to slow down here, or, you know, crescendo here. We didn't have any of that. So you had to stay in time. That was frustrating for me. And you had to just decide on your own in a way, am I going to get louder here and quieter here? And, you know, it felt a little sterile to me. But it was what we had to do. That's all we had.
I'm just going to jump on what someone asked in the chat, which was how we rehearsed. We didn't rehearse. Basically, we learned our parts and we recorded them. So that was something different. We didn't get to shape it together as a group. We, as Marie said, we would sometimes have Zoom calls and talk about it, but it wasn't like getting in a room and trying things different ways. So basically, there kind of wasn't any rehearsal. And someone else asked what a click track was, which I think Rex answered. But you know, so that we could stay together, you would hear like a metronome beating before you started, and sometimes during it. So you're always singing with a track that would show you what the timing was, what the pitch was. But as Kim said, it was never like singing with your friends and other singers. And at the end, you came up with this very naked sounding track of just your one little part, maybe recorded on a cell phone. So it didn't, you know, feel like it sounded that great. And then your video was just your face in front of a blank wall. So we all, I think, sent something in to Marie feeling a little sheepish about it. But then when she and EP got finished with it, they came up with this great sounding and beautiful performance that put all our little naked tracks together and came up with a fully clothed sound.
I just want to jump on to a comment that Kathleen made. Yes, for this particular recording, majority of the tracks were short and actually did not require a lot of tempo changes. They were pretty much in time straight. But I've been working with Tim on some of his programs too, and preview of stuff to come from Marie too. There are going to be some tracks coming up where there will be retards and tempo changes that we have pre-approved with Marie or with Tim. And so we look forward, I hope you'll enjoy those when they come around, because you'll have a chance to really enjoy the retards and the tempo changes and when that comes around.
Yeah, and EP, if I could just add to that as well, what Kim and Iris and Kathleen were just saying really touched me and brought something home. And Marie, you may find this too, in that, yeah, I can imagine that just recording this and then playing it back and looking at it and saying, oh my God, I'm here at home and here's me by myself, and is this what I really sound like? But the interesting thing is that that's really what choral music is all about. I mean, it's not, for me at least, it's not a bunch of soloists who then agree to cooperate. It's making something greater out of a bunch of individual contributions, and then frequently relying on an acoustic like a wonderfully resonant church to do exactly that. But the bottom line for me is that the talent has to be there. I mean, you have to be able to sing beautifully in order to create anything like that. And whether it's being processed by technology or processed by a wonderful Gothic building or anything like that. But the other miracle that you've somehow achieved with this, and you've laid out, I think, for people, this business that, yes, it's recorded with a click track to keep everyone in time, and some other things to make this process possible. But the miracle for me is that it doesn't sound regimented, it doesn't sound unmusical. If anything, it sounds beautiful. And so therefore, you somehow have transcended the technological limitations of this. And Marie has something to do with that, and Erik-Peter has something to do with that, but you do as well, because you somehow, doing all this, you invested the emotion in this, and standing in your apartment or your living room, whatever, you put all the anticipation and excitement of a performance into the recording that you made. And that takes a tremendous amount of energy, emotional energy, at least from my point. So congratulations to you all. It's a beautiful product.
And Tim, to jump on what you just said, I'm also a singer myself. So as a recording engineer, I know how to make it sound enhanced without making it sound artificial. I want to make it sound organic. And I want to show everyone in the best possible light as a singer can be. And so I actually put more time than I probably, maybe than some other people would put into it, because I know what emotions I get when I'm singing in a choir, and I know what emotions I can convey to others when I'm singing in a choir. And when I work with other ensembles, I know what their intent is and what they want to convey, and I want whatever technology I apply to be able to sum that up and be more than the sum of its parts, and to really just impact an audience musically with the original intent. So that's what I hope to do as both as a singer, as an engineer as well.
Yeah. Well, from my point of view, you and Marie and all of the wonderful members of the choir have more than succeeded in that. Ryan, are there some additional questions that you are looking at?
I'm not seeing any more. If I missed anything.
I actually have a question for Erik-Peter, if that's okay.
That's quite all right.
You said in the comments on the YouTube channel on the YouTube video that you had used to create the reverberation effect, you had used a convolution reverb recorded at a Norwegian stone chapel. What does that mean? How does that work?
Okay, this is very interesting what a convolution reverb is. It is basically you have several microphones throughout a given space, right? And they're all linked to some software. And you take an artificial gun and you actually, you let it go off at different parts of the actual space. And the microphones that are there record how the sound reacts off the gunshot. So then the software captures all that. It's called a convolution reverb. And now you can go anywhere in the world and apply that algorithm and perform as if you're in any spot in that particular space. Isn't that cool?
That's fascinating. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, and I hope they use like cap guns and not real ones. I'm sure they're cap guns. But they need a strong signal to get the impulse of how things reflect off the statues, off the corners of the room. So the reverb you actually hear is a very natural reverb. That doesn't sound artificial, and that's why I think we got a lot of great comments. So it is called the Magdalena Stone Chapel in Norway. Just for anyone who cares to know.
I just wanted to comment on how much I enjoyed the video visuals that came along with the music. So often these concerts are very dry, but this was exciting. Particularly the Kodály, I thought the dancing was very well done.
Do you want to address that, Marie?
Thanks, Ned.
I helped.
Actually, there were, EP and I have an interesting collaborative relationship, but I speak my mind when I feel something is too overdone or too, but this with Táncnóta, the dancing song, it's crazy, but I thought it deserved crazy because it's just such a lively piece and such a funny piece. So he went wild on that, and I thought that it was all his idea. I don't know how he found all those images, but it certainly added, I thought, to the...
It was superb.
Trade secret.
Yeah.
And I see my dad / Marie's brother has his hand raised, Fred.
I have a question for Rex.
which is, did you play to the mixed track of all the voices? Or would you...
Yes, I did. I think on some pieces there were, most of the time I would get a click track to get me started, metronome marking to get me moving, and then I would listen, just listen to what had already been pre-recorded. So it was just me sliding in my parts on top of what had already been assembled at the end of the line. Yeah, that was it, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear everything already done. And plus I ended up getting PDFs or, copies of the music so that I could arrange and I could put things out and actually read my parts. Then I would create my own part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Marie, I also wanted to ask where you found that the composition Songbird. That was a really great piece.
Isn't that a great piece? Yeah. I think probably the group, maybe someone in the group wants to answer something about Songbird. Did someone have their hand raised? Go ahead.
Well, it's a modern piece, so it's not, and it's sort of, the composer is fairly well known among women's choral groups, and I was not in this particular video, but I have performed it with another group, and it's a great piece. Hope I can perform it someplace else.
We actually performed another piece of hers before, and so I think that's what happened. And so we were always tuned into that composer, Sarah Quartel. And when I heard that, I said, oh, this is definitely a good one for Angelica.
Her other piece, was that the one that used glasses?
No, I think she did a Kyrie or something with something we did for
wasn't hers something like Maying a Playing or something?
No, I think Sarah Quartel was the one who did when we did.
I thought it was Wood, Smoke, and Oranges.
No.
Oh dear. We have to look. I thought there was a piece that with a Maying, a Playing, something like that.
There
Again,
that
very
piece,
challenging.
Yeah, I don't think that's her. We can look it up. But I think she did in a requiem, a part of a requiem mass. There was something. It was an Ave something, and I think we even sang it for Mary's memorial service. I think that was Sarah.
Oh, the Sanctus.
Yeah, something from the Sanctus, right?
Okay.
Anyway, so it's a great piece, right? And I love the setting that EP made for it because you really felt like songbirds were singing, so it was nice.
All that background stuff was really very, very clever and well done. And the sound, by the way, is just awesome. I was listening through my system, and I just felt like I was in a church. It was really great sound.
I have a question for everyone in general. If you could chime in, what are you all using to record yourselves for the video track as well as the audio? What platforms are people using? Yeah,
just like an iPhone.
iPhones. Everyone's a lot of iPhones, huh?
HP laptop. Using my laptop, and we're creating a Zoom meeting with ourselves. Again, we're all so alone. It's such a lonely time. So you have a Zoom meeting with yourself, and then you record it. So that seems even sadder.
I use a recording app, and I use my iPad.
On Zoom, and you record yourself on Zoom, and then
not everybody.
Not
everybody. Yeah, that was one technique. Yeah, and you record the meeting, and then you send that to.
Okay.
For the video, that's what I did for the video.
I would play it in my ears off of my iPad with a Bluetooth speaker, and then record it with a separate device, my phone.
Okay.
Yes, So I did the video differently. The video was the Zoom meeting. The audio, I was using an iPod, listening to the click track. Mm-hmm. And then using my iPhone's recording app.
Oh.
I'm going to jump in there for a second. I have been, one of my goals as a upcoming producer has been to acquire the most expensive mics that I can possibly do. and I still have never gotten a mic worth more than $700 because I can't afford it. However, just capturing all these, the technology has improved so much with these phones. The sound quality is so clean that I can work with a cell phone recording, I can work with a laptop recording, and do a few enhancements in my software, but the source is very clean, that I can make it sound eventually warm, rich, organic, without having a $10,000 microphone. It's just amazing. And I do a lot of my classical and choral concerts from people that submit things from all over the world without a good mic. So I'm not bashing good mics anymore. I'm just saying that, you know, it's like the poor man's recording is working. This is like the people's recording.
Ready to go to the bank. I got on. Yeah, Marie's just doing a great job. There's a bunch of people, and you know, that's the sound guy. They're asking all sorts of technical questions about how.
Rebecca, I am so happy to see Rebecca there, because Rebecca is my sister-in-law, and she's in California, and so it's just really warms my heart.
And
Hi. Say hello to Howard for me.
Marie, I wanted to say that Sal is here from England.
Oh, where is she? Sal would always, when we went on our festival trips, Sal and Ned, of course, would always come along, and it was just always wonderful to have them. So
Anna from Germany is also watching.
Oh, that's great.
From Berlin.
My mom from Germany is also watching.
Does she want to say hello? Does do they want to say hello, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'd love to say hello and how wonderful the concert was. I'm a great fan and groupie of Angelica, and I can't wait to see you live. But this has been very, very special. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were all supposed to go to Italy, you know, in June, and that was all canceled. So, and it's you know, one doesn't know when that's going to happen again. So we're all waiting. You might also notice that there are several Carusos. My sister's here, my brother's here, my nephew's here. So it's kind of nice. But I think one of the silver linings of this is having, being able to have everyone together that would not be able to be together ordinarily. Any more questions, Ryan?
Yeah. Let's go and find it. From Emily. She's wondering, for any of the music educators who are in the ensemble, did this experience of creating this video concert change the way you view your teaching during the pandemic?
I had kind of touched on that a little bit in the chat, but I teach middle school chorus, and we've been putting together virtual choirs since March, where I kind of do what Erik-Peter does. And being on the other end has sort of given me a new perspective as to what my students might feel in terms of their anxieties about recording themselves. Maybe they have challenges at home with finding a quiet place to do that, or maybe they don't have the technology, or they don't have good internet. I think it's been eye-opening for me to see the other end of how that works now that I've been doing it myself.
Okay, well, this is
Wilma still with us? Is she here? Because she's a music educator. Okay, she left. I have a question for Tim. Tim, how is the series that you've been doing this year online, how is that being received? Not
right.
Ours specifically, but the whole series.
I have to say it's being very well received, but it's been a most unusual experience. And the one thing our Board of Trustees decided when we looked at this season was that since we've had this 30-some-year tradition of presenting something each week on a Wednesday, that we would absolutely continue to do that in any way possible. And folks have really stepped up to the plate and been tremendously helpful with this, either about, I don't know, maybe 10% of our content is archival footage, but the rest of it is stuff that's either been created for us or being seen for the first time. And I have to say, with today's Angelica concert, this is the first time we've had a premiere, but at the same time, people have really been good about this. I do think that our audience is a little bit different, perhaps, than the folks who would come to White Plains and see us in person. We would have, 100, 150 people each week. And for that particular group, I mean, some of them are joining us each Wednesday at noon, but of course these can be watched at any time. So maybe they now look at it in the evening, they look at it at another moment. And so that's exciting too. And we've had some interesting experiences. Most of it has been fantastic, but early on, we discovered that if you do a live stream performance, and the musicians also have children at home working on their homework and live streaming school at the same time, it takes up too much of the bandwidth, so that your rehearsal goes absolutely fine, and then the kids get on and do their lesson plan, and none of it works for either the children or the parents who are musicians. So we learned as we went along, but 90% of this has been exciting, and I'm just so grateful for people like Marie and EP and all of you who've made this so possible for us to continue. The one other person that I will mention as part of our team here is Haley McAvoy. She is a wonderful mezzo-soprano, but she has also been doing on my end, the technical work for all of these programs, and which is to say that Marie was very kind to get us the footage of this concert, and then it's Haley who edits sort of the presentation, so to speak, and joins it up with an introduction and a recap and puts it all on YouTube. And without Haley's help, none of this would be happening. And I do have to say, since I'm talking about Haley, it reminds me that in early November, she did a very beautifully produced profile of the Pacific Northwest composer, Hub Miller. He's a composer that I had not known much about, but whose songs are absolutely glorious. And I understand that there's quite an archive of choral music there as well. So for those of you who like vocal music, do check out Haley's production about Hub Miller as well, and maybe we'll find some of his songs for Angelica to do in the future. So that said, I guess we may have time for one more question, and then we should probably wind this up. But anyone else wondering anything?
Yes, I think I saw a question about how people can get in touch with me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat thread if anyone wants to reach out to me for any needs or just to shoot the breeze. Now that I'm going to be finished with these virtual productions, I might be able to actually have a time for a conversation now. So,
is there anything else, Ryan?
There was a question about reading, maintaining eye contact with the camera.
Okay.
How that was done, but it was a few people chimed in on the chat about it. But if
okay. So Tim.
So Marie, thank you very much.
You.
Thank you, Erik-Peter. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you all members of Angelica and to Rex as well. This is a gorgeous creation.
And to our audience, thank you for all coming.
Thank you for joining us.
And making this a, a special event for us.
Right, and Marie, I believe if we are able to do it, we may have another collaboration in the offing for May of this year. So Marie and I will stay in touch about that. all of your fans out there, I am hoping that we will be able to do this a second time at the end of our season.
Can we unmute to applaud? That's the part I missed. I didn't get.
You can try it and see what happens.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Very sweet, very sweet.
I'm used to making noise also.
I wish I had bells.
There's my girl.
There I am. All right. I promised Kathleen I'd ask a question.
Do you want to ask a question now that you've opened?
I could make one up. No, I made a comment about, because that Kodály piece, the Magyar dancing song.
Yes.
Clearly that's not new because he died 50 years ago. So
Right.
why have you never done this before? That was an amazing piece.
Well, I want you to know that not many people wanted to do it because it's so fast and difficult to sing. And
oh, you want to do things that are hard. I understand. Okay.
it's one of the reasons I took that. I'm in that piece because, not very many people wanted to do it. But
Really?
I love it.
Well, at least it was in English.
Yeah, it was right. And I was wondering, it was
First we were working on it.
how you had to keep the meter there. That was amazing. I loved it, especially with the video. Yeah, amazing. So
Yeah, with that was amazing with the stamping booth.
was that originally set for women's voices?
It was, but it's originally in what language?
Estonian.
Some kind of Hungarian thing? Or
Hungarian.
Hungarian.
Yeah. So yeah, we wouldn't
Thank you.
didn't want to take it on in Hungarian. It was just too fast.
Definitely going to listen to that one again. Thank you. I'm muting now.
Okay. All right, everybody. I mean, I didn't even scroll through to see the faces of everyone. Oh, it's so nice to see all these people. Lovely. Wow, that's great.
Thank you, Marie, for putting
Thank you.
this insane amount of work.
It's really been a lot of fun. So I'm so glad that you
It's a
all.
lot of work. We want you to know that we see that.
All right, so
Thank you for having a potential program in May. It'll give me more time to get things done.
all right, everybody, have a great afternoon. It was just wonderful seeing you.
Nice to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so nice to see everyone.
Everyone sounded great.
All right.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Thanks, Rex.
You too.
Good Wednesday.
Thank
Stay,
you, everyone. Thank you.
stay
Thank
warm.
you.
So long.
Take care.
Happy holidays.
Good.
You too.